and they include reparations for slavery, whereby American taxpayers, blacks included, would provide cash for every single black citizen. Number two, Black Lives Matter demanding that the government end, quote, the war against black people. Three, Black Lives Matter wants community control of federal and state funding. That means entitlement checks sent directly to the citizens, no oversight at all from the government that provides the money. Finally, Black Lives Matter calling for economic justice through, quote, collective ownership, a communist tenet. Joining us now from Washington, Charles Krauthammer. So, Charles, I was right from the jump on this crew. They're about as radical as you can get, are they not?
I think they're rather sad and pathetic. That looks like a list that was put together in a late-night, all-nighter, because they'd been criticized for being just negative and not having a program. This is a sort of it is a really almost ridiculous list, a mishmash, a combination of 1960s New Left cliches and black nationalist cliches strung together with a couple of bones thrown to limousine liberals for things like climate change. And when you look at it, you've got to say this is about as unoriginal as you can get. This idea of empowering the community, giving them direct control and payment, that's been tried for 50 years. It was called the War on Poverty. It was called the Great Society. And we know what the result was. All the numbers are in. $5 trillion that left not a trace. I don't take it seriously. I know you study it with biblical attention, but I think you are inflating their importance.
I know you do, but I got to tell you.
You're also inflating their coherence.
The reason
they have no idea what they believe.
Coherence I haven't really commented on. But the reason that I take time to report on this crew is because the mainstream establishment media has empowered them, has made them noble crusaders for justice. And you know they have. That no matter how heinous and how hateful the rhetoric, oh, it's not them, it's just a few, whereby if you look at their leadership, you know this is the theme. But I want to explain to the audience what you just referenced. On one of their demands, the Black Lives Matter demands,
fossil fuels.
This is hysterical. We demand investments in education, health, and safety of black people instead of investments in criminalizing, caging, and harming of black people. So no, can't put African American in prison. We want investments in black communities determined by black communities, and divestment from exploitative forces, including prisons, fossil fuels, surveillance, and exploitative corporations. And then they want collective ownership. So basically they want communism. That's what they want.
Bill, even you are laughing at this. This is ridiculous. If you gave it 1 ounce of serious consideration, you would know that the people who would be hurt by the abolition of fossil fuels would be particularly those people living on the edge whose power rates, utility rates, would skyrocket.
But look, Charles, but they say then you have to pay their bills. But I don't know if you're understanding that the Black Lives Matter movement has gained some traction, particularly in the African American and far left communities. And they're not the same, by the way, those two. But they've gained power there. They're kind of respected in some arenas.
Look, I look at this as the same way I looked at the Wall Street overthrow, down with Wall Street movement, which was obviously flaky, which was not going to survive the first winter storms. It did not. It had no idea where it was going, what it was doing. It got a ton of media attention on the left, front page of the New York Times. Their ombudsman actually wrote that the Times had adopted it as a cause. This is the same thing. You read that manifesto, you compare it to what Marx wrote in 1859, and you got to admire Marx. He could write and he could think. These people can do neither.
All right, Charles Krauthammer, everybody. McGurk and Waters on deck. Rather violent clash between Pokemon players and a Vietnam vet. This is serious. Right back with it.
From residential to commercial, from large loss to emergency response, Whenever damage strikes, call on the cleanup team that's faster to any size disaster at 1-800-SERVPRO, like it never